Hey friends, I'm sorry it's been a hot minute. I've just been extremely busy. I've had my daughter's birthday. We spent the day together shopping, getting our nails done, brunch, blah, 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 movies. And we had family come into town. Our nephew has stayed for a few days before he has to go back. And I hadn't been in the kitchen doing anything, so I've gotten behind. Unfortunately, this video will probably come out after Thanksgiving, but I am doing some Thanksgiving prep that I also will be doing the same exact thing for Christmas prep. So what you're seeing here, I'll be doing the same thing for Christmas, so this can be make ahead for Christmas. I'm doing two dinner rolls. One is, it's been called Cheesecake Factory bread. It's been called Outback Steakhouse bread. It's just been called molasses bread. I'm taking a little bit of all the recipes and I adapted it to my own. I did some testers on this over the weekend where I didn't film, just so I can make sure that these dinner rolls that I'm going to do turn out good and they taste good. And they did. So, here's my taster bread for just my yeast rolls. And my husband has decided he's not going to eat bread or anything. Well, he will on Thanksgiving, but he's been on a diet, so he hasn't helped me with these. So I'm probably going to stick those in the freezer for like a takeout and microwave quick. I digress. We're going to do two different kinds. We're going to do the dark bread, and then we're going to do just a regular white yeast roll. Around here, the rolls are the centerpiece of the meal. Everybody loves soft yeast rolls to go with our Thanksgiving dinner. So we're going to get started. The first one that I'm going to make, and I don't know really what to call it, but I'm just going to call it the dark bread, or the darker bread. I'm going to make the dough in my bread maker. And if you've watched any of my videos before, oh, by the way, if you're new, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. If you're a returning viewer, thank you for coming back. If you watched any of my previous videos, I like to make bread dough in my bread maker, doing the dough cycle. And that's what I'm going to be doing with the dark bread. Okay, so let's just get started. Let me bring you down here and I'll show you what I'm going to be adding. Okay, this is my little bread maker container that I'll be adding the ingredients in. So first thing I'm going to do is I have got some warm water. This is 1 1/4 cup of warm water. I put 2 tablespoons of butter in there to soften up. It was already room temperature, but it was still just a little bit firm. Okay, and then to the water, I'm going to add 2 teaspoons of yeast. I'm using active dry yeast. I have said before in previous videos, for a bread machine, they like you to use the rapid rise, but I'm not baking this in it, and it's going to have plenty of time to come to its natural rises. Okay, and then my sugar content, I have got 1 tablespoon of brown sugar, 1/4 cup of honey, and 2 tablespoons of molasses. I'm going to add this in. I'm going to give this a quick stir in. I'm going to let it sit here and let my yeast activate. That's one thing. Even if you're planning in your bread machine, even if you're planning on using your bread machine to bake your bread also, and of course the manufacturers highly recommend you use instant or rapid rise yeast for that. If you will do this step with your water, your sugar, and your yeast on the bottom, and you just let it hang out for 5-10 minutes, it'll get the dry active yeast bloomed and stirring and woke up, and then you can proceed. They just want you to use the quick rapid yeast, so you can skip this part. But anyway, I'm gonna let this hang out for a few minutes and make sure that it gets to blooming. Okay, it's sat and it's hung out. It's not foaming like I really would like it to, but we're just gonna cross our fingers and hope for the best. Okay, where I am modifying this recipe from other recipes that you can find online, I'm not adding the whole wheat flour. I'm going to do straight all-purpose flour. You can also use bread flour, but I'm just not. I just want a lighter bread for these rolls, and so I'm going to use just all-purpose flour. So I'm going to use 3.5 cups. This is 2 cups. This is 3. And a half. Okay, and then I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of cocoa. Yes, cocoa. This is what it gives it a richness and helps with the color too. This isn't going to be a really, really dark bread. You'll see when it comes out. And then 2 teaspoons of salt. And okay, I think I got it all. I'm going to go over here and put this in my bread maker. And we're going to set this on my dough cycle and hit start. And we're going to let that go. I'm going to clean up a little bit right here and we'll get started on our just regular yeast rolls. Okay, I am back. What I did is I went ahead and got my yeast and all that proofing, and it's foamed up really good, so I know there's nothing wrong with my yeast. This is just a plain yeast roll that is just so good. And I am doubling this recipe. The original best recipe makes 12 rolls, and I want to double it for 24 rolls because, yeah, we eat rolls. Okay, so what I've got in here is a cup of warm water. I've got 6 tablespoons of sugar and 2 tablespoons of active dry yeast. To this, I'm going to add, it calls for 2.5 to 3 cups of flour, so I'm going to start out with 5 cups of flour. And I'm just using all-purpose. You can use bread flour. I just don't have any bread flour with me right now. So that's 2. Four. Flour's going everywhere. So that's 5 cups. And I have also got a cup of warm milk. It calls for 1/4 cup of vegetable oil. What I've done is I put 1/4 cup of butter in here and 1/4 cup of avocado oil in with my 1 cup of milk, and I just put it in the microwave for about 45 seconds and got it warm and melty and all that. So I'm going to pour that in. I'm going to do 2 teaspoons of salt. Always remember, hang on, sorry about that. That was my son calling, so I had to take a minute to talk to him. So I've just stirred this up, and it is too wet, of course. So I took out another cup of flour, and I'm just going to start slowly incorporating this in until I get it to the texture that it needs to be. You can also do this in your stand mixer with your dough hook. And I just thought I would just do this by hand. I did my tester batch by hand and it turned out pretty good. I'm just using this Danish dough whisk. Okay, that's feeling better, looking better. Now then, this bread, I'm going to do 3 rises on this bread. It makes it lighter, fluffier. 2 rises, it's still a good one on a 2 rise. But I'm going to go ahead and get 2 rises under my belt today. And then the 3rd rise is when I take them out. Still a bit sticky. And what I'm going to do is, for the dark bread, it's going to come to its first rise in the bread machine. And what I will do is I will go ahead and roll it out into rolls and put them on a sheet pan and stick them in my freezer and flash freeze them. And then I'll transfer them into like a bag, a freezer bag, so that the morning of that I'm going to serve these, I will take them out, put them on a sheet pan, let them thaw, come to room temperature, and rise. So I'll probably take them out at least 3 to 4 hours before I need to cook them. Okay. Just a tad bit stickier than what I want, so I can incorporate some more flour. And some more. Now then, it said 5 to 6 cups on the recipe. I'd already put 5, and I may end up using the 6th cup on it. Not too sticky, but I'm just going to do just a little bit more, and so I'm going to have about that much. So I'd say I probably used 5 and just a dash over a half cups of flour in this. Oop. Okay, so I'm going to flour my surface some. Dump this out. And we're going to start kneading it. I'm probably going to have to knead this probably about 8 minutes, 8 to 10 minutes, until what I'm looking at is when I take this, if I take a piece of dough and I stretch it out, it's not going to come apart like that. It's going to be more elasticized. Is that a word, elasticized? Yeah. Alright, so I'm going to sit here and knead this, and then we'll come back when it's done and I'll show you what I mean, how I want it to look. Okay, I have been kneading. It seems like I've been kneading all day long. This is why I don't like to make bread by hand. I like to use modern conveniences. Okay. Feels good. It's not sticky. I have nothing stuck to my hands. I'm going to pull off a piece. And I just don't want it to break easy. and it's not. That piece right there tore, but I could pull it apart without it just shredding, just tearing all over the place. So I think that we're good. What I'm going to do is I've got my bowl that I mixed it up in, and I put some avocado oil in the bottom, and I'm going to put that in there. Ooh. I'm going to get a clean dish towel, and what I have done as a warm place for this to rise, I have put my oven on the proof setting. My oven has a proof setting. If yours doesn't, you can just turn the light on in the oven and stick it in there. It just needs to be in a place where there's no drafts and a warm area. And my house is pretty cool, so I'm going to utilize the proof setting in my oven. And if I didn't have the proof setting in my oven, I would just put it in there with the light on. So I'm going to put that in there, and this is going to need to rise for an hour. Oh, but I was going to tell you that when I was kneading the dough, I used the other about a half a cup of flour that I had left. I kneaded that in the dough while I was kneading it. I just kept sprinkling some down on the bottom. So I got all that kneaded in with the dough, and it kneaded it. So that was 6 cups of flour that I used in this recipe, doubling it. And like, if you know anything about bread making, everybody's is different. The most accurate way that you can get your flour is by measuring it using grams or ounces. And that way you would know it would be a more consistent dough if you measured your flour. And I, like most American bakers, home bakers, not professional bakers, home bakers, don't normally weigh our flour. We go by cups measurements, and it can be different. You know, 1 cup of this flour may weigh different than 1 cup of your flour if it's even the same brand. It might even be the same brand. So, in order to always be consistent in baking, it's best to measure, but I don't, but I'm passing along the information. Okay, so let me see if I can bring you down here. This is the dark dough. Whoops. And it has gotten through mixing, and so now it's just going to sit here and it's going to rise. It's got 51 minutes left, so the rising process started at 60 minutes. So this bread and the one I just put in the oven should be done rising about the same time. So, you know, really, I thought that you saved more time. Well, you save more time if you use like your stand mixer with a dough attachment on kneading it. But hand kneading versus using your bread machine to knead and rise your dough, I guess it's about the same time. And it's a lot easier to use a bread machine to make your dough. And you can get them at thrift stores. The thrift store that I like to go to, they usually always have them $6, $7. You know, if they work, which, you know, I think they test them out before they put them out on the floor. And I've really considered getting a second one for that. See, I could have made both of these doughs if I had a second one, and I may do that. I may next time when I'm thrifting, if I come across a nice looking one, you know, for $6, $7, pick up another one, and that way on large cookie days like the holidays, I'll have 2. Anyway, food for thought. I'll be back with you when we get through rising. Hey, okay, so while the bread is rising, we have got some turnip greens, or the collard greens. I don't remember, I think they're turnip greens, that my husband threw out. Planted out here earlier, a couple months ago. The deer came and plowed them down, and then they put back up, and the deer hadn't gotten them yet. So I'm going to go ahead and pick some of these. I've got me a basket in this. I'm going to go ahead and pick some of these to cook up, wash and cook up to have for our family dinner. So anyway, I'm going to do that while the bread is rising. And we've had some below freezing temperatures, and You can tell that the frost has gotten to a lot of these, but I'm going to try to pick the ones that look the best and see what we got. Okay, I got a basket full. I'm going to come out here tomorrow and get the rest of them. This will be enough for us a mess for me to cook up for supper. Probably not tonight, probably tomorrow night. Still got a few days till Thanksgiving. But we'll pretend that this is my Christmas harvest since it's not going to come out until after Thanksgiving. Hey, I wanted to show y'all this. This has been in the oven on the proof setting for like 35 minutes. And as you can see, it's already doubled in size. So I'm going to stop the first rise right here because I guess I should say let it rise for an hour or until it doubles in size. And so all I'm going to do is I'm going to push down, deflate it some. Trying to get some of the air out of it. Okay. And then I'm going to stick it back in my oven on the proof setting, or with your light on, and I'm going to let it rise again for 45 minutes. UPS just came, and I just wanted to show y'all what salt that I use. I know I've always said that I use pink Himalayan salt for my canning, my cooking, everything. You can see. And this is the last, I used my last bag, so I went ahead and ordered some more. And this is what I use, and I order it from Amazon. This is the San Francisco Salt Company, Himalayan salt, Sherpa Pink. And this is the fine grain. And it is, I don't know if you'll be able to tell if it's going to focus. I don't know, but it's a very fine grain. I mean, it's a bigger grain than table salt, iodized table salt, but it's finer. I'll show you this. This is some that I had ordered by mistake the first time that I ordered from the San Francisco Salt Company. This is Himalayan salt, Sherpa Pink, and I was trying to see if it says what ground this is. Coarse salt. So I was thinking like a I've drawn a blank. The coarse salts, the kosher salt, like a coarse kosher salt. And this is like big pebbles. Let me see if I can get it to focus. But it looks like stuff that you put in the bottom of your fish tank. It's just very big, and it's too big for cooking with, and it's not going to focus. It's not going to focus. But anyway. It's very big, and I did not like this. My husband's been using this to put into one of his drinks for something he's doing. So, didn't like that. And so that's why I started ordering this. It's a fine grain, and it's, I get this off of Amazon. I'll link it down below in the description box. But this is my all-time favorite salt. And San Francisco Salt Company. That's what I like. I'm not sponsored by them. Don't even know anything about them except ordering it from Amazon. So, but anyway, that's what I use. I just wanted to show y'all. Oh, and I also got the Firesider book. I've been wanting this, and I was going to order it off of Azure several times and didn't, and Amazon has it, so I just threw that in my order with my salt too. So I'm really kind of looking forward to diving into this for some more natural things for medicinal purposes when you get colds and flus and stuff like that. So anyway, I'll be researching on that and see what I can come up with and show y'all what I've learned later on. I'm going to get through Christmas, I think, and then we'll see. But anyway, still rising. Got about 10 more minutes left on the brown bread. It's ready. This is the brown bread. Bring it in here. Feels glorious. Okay, so I'm going to cut this in half. And then I'm going to cut this in half. And I just eyeball it. You can get your kitchen scale out to make sure that you all the pieces are even. And so then I'm going to cut this in half, this in half, got a baking sheet with a seal pattern on it. And I'm just going to take each one of these and roll. You just take your hand like this and put it in there and just go in a circle to make a ball. So I'm going to put these in the freezer when I get done and go do a flash freeze on them. And then, and I'm trying to remember to record when I get ready to cook these. When I take them out of the freezer and put them on back on my sheet pan, I will brush these while they're still frozen, still hard. I will brush them with an egg wash. And then I'm going to sprinkle some oats on top. So they kind of got that rustic look to them. Okay, when I get all these rolled up, I'll be back. Also, if you're making these to cook right now, of course you'd roll these up into a roll like this. And then you would let it do a second rise. 45 minutes to an hour, and then bake them in a 350 degree oven 15-20 minutes, and they will continue to rise in the oven. The heat of the oven will make them rise more. So we'll have like just the regular old fluffy yeast balls. I'm making balls, that's why I said yeast rolls. And then we'll have this darker colored one that's kind of got like a rustic vibe going on. And don't be alarmed, they smell like chocolate from the cocoa that I put, but they're not going to taste chocolatey, but They have that chocolate scent to them. And if it's not all pretty and smooth on the top, I'll take it and just like tuck it under like that and then do a ball so that you have a smoother top. Like that one kind of looks deformed. Okay, I'm going to go and stick these in the oven. How many make? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. They made 16. Woohoo! Okay, I'm going to go stick these in the oven, and then I'm going to get the other one out, and we'll start working on those. Stick these in the oven. Nay. Stick them in the freezer. Ooh, look at all that dough. It looks pretty. Now then, there's enough oil on here that I don't need to do anything on the counter. Okay, now then, to divide this up, basically the same principle. I'm going to cut this. Okay, let me see which one is going to be a good one. I'm looking for my right size. Probably that one. It's 2.29. It is a little bit to it. 2.75. We're going to go with 2.75 ounces for the roll. And again, I'm just going to put these on a sheet pan with a seal pad on it. Okay, so here we are. I ended up making them 2 ounces. I ended up, I thought it was a little bit too big, so they're all around 2 ounces, and I'm going to stick these in the freezer. Let's see how many it made. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 24. Made 24, so that's exactly what I wanted. 2 ounces. Okay, so these I got out of the freezer. They're pretty hard. I'm going to go ahead and stick these in a freezer bag. And then the other ones, the white ones, I'll do the same thing when they get kind of hard. But I'm just going to put these in a freezer bag, and when I'm ready to cook them, I'll take them out, let them thaw. I'll make a video. So we'll see. I'll make a video to go at the end of this one just to show you exactly how I do these with the oatmeal. Okay, voila. I'll be back when I'm ready to cook these up. Like I said, I'll do the same thing with the white ones. Okay, to start the cake, we're going to do 2 cups of flour. 2 cups of sugar. And 1/4 of a teaspoon of salt. Whisk all this together. And set over to the side. In another small separate bowl, we're going to add 1/2 cup of buttermilk. If you don't have buttermilk, you can do like a half a cup of regular sweet milk and probably like 2 teaspoons of vinegar, and let it sit for a little while, and that will sour it and make it into buttermilk. 2 eggs. And a teaspoon of vanilla. And give this a whisk. Oh, I'm missing one thing, baking soda. You need 1 teaspoon of baking soda. Okay, get all that mixed together and put it to the side. Okay, on the stovetop, I'm melting 2 sticks of butter, and I'm going to add 4 heaping tablespoons of cocoa powder. Whisk that together. I've also got 1 cup of water in the microwave, bringing it to a boil. You can do that on your stovetop also, but I'm just using one of my measuring cups to bring that to a boil in my microwave. So you'll also need 1 cup of boiling water. Once the butter has fully melted, I'm going to turn the heat off, and then I'm going to grab my boiling water and pour that in. Okay, and to our flour, sugar, and salt mixture, I'm going to pour the cocoa butter and boiling water mixture into that. And give that a quick stir. We want to cool off the chocolate before we add in the egg mixture. Just going to stir it up good and get it cooled down. Okay, and now we're going to add our egg mixture. Get that all incorporated. And this is, you don't really have to get out your electric mixer or a hand mixer or a stand mixer. This is very easy just to blend all together with a whisk. Okay, in a jelly roll pan or rimmed cookie sheet, you can put parchment paper down. I'm just going to use this Seal Pat down. When I bake this as a normal sheet cake like this, I don't do any of that. I may spray some Pam or something on it. But since I'm doing this one different, I'm going to do it as a stack. I want it to be able to come out of the pan good so that I can cut it. So I am putting something down on the bottom, and you'll just pour this in. Okay, let me get a rubber spatula so I can get every bit of that goodness out. Okay, and this goes into a 350-degree oven for 20 minutes. Okay, 20 minutes is up. It's all baked up. It is set. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let this cool completely down, and then I'm going to stick it into the freezer so that it will come out hopefully all in one piece, and then I will be able to cut it.